What if everything you thought you knew about power was about to shatter? At 9 a.m. on live television, Mel Gibson unleashes explosive secrets linking Barron Trump to hidden power networks, blurring the line between celebrity and politics. This revelation forces us to question our trusted narratives. Will you challenge the established order? Can you discern truth from spectacle? Are you ready to face a scandal that redefines reality? Let's dive in. Picture a morning that promises nothing extraordinary yet hides an explosive secret. A moment where the ordinary transforms into a battleground for controversy. It is 9 a.m., and the live television set hums with anticipation as viewers settle in, unaware that this day will etch itself into the annals of scandal. The studio lights glare on a stage that has seen its share of drama. But today, something different is brewing, a storm that is as personal as it is political. The screen comes alive with the unmistakable presence of Mel Gibson, an icon whose career is as illustrious as it is tarnished, and whose reputation for incendiary remarks has long made him a magnet for both fervent admirers and relentless critics. In that charged atmosphere, Gibson's gaze is steady, his face marked by the weight of decades spent in the glare of public scrutiny. Every wrinkle and every furrowed brow tells a story of battles fought both on and off the screen. Known for his unyielding defiance and a penchant for stirring controversy, he stands at the crossroads of cinematic legend and political maverick. His presence is not just a return to the spotlight, it is a declaration that the boundaries between Hollywood and the political arena are blurring, and that today, those lines are about to be redrawn. As the clock ticks, the studio becomes a pressure cooker of expectations and unspoken tensions. The live broadcast begins with a calm introduction, a facade of normality that belies the tempest about to be unleashed. In these opening moments, the audience is treated to a glimpse of Gibson's trademark charisma, raw, unfiltered, and teetering on the edge of chaos. His voice, rough and resolute, carries an undercurrent of mischief as he hints at a revelation so explosive it could shatter the conventional narrative of celebrity and power. There is an almost tangible electricity in the air, a feeling that every second brings them closer to a moment that will alter the course of public discourse. Behind the camera, the production crew moves with practiced precision, yet even their seamless coordination cannot fully contain the volatile energy that radiates from Gibson. His eyes dart from side to side, as if searching for the right moment to let slip a secret that has been simmering beneath the surface for far too long. There is a deliberate pause, a moment where time itself seems to stretch, and the world outside the studio fades into insignificance. The viewers, caught in the grip of mounting suspense, sense that this is no ordinary broadcast. This is a call to attention, a defiant proclamation that some truths are too incendiary to remain hidden. In the midst of the carefully choreographed opening, Gibson begins to weave a narrative that is as much about the past as it is about the present. He revisits the echoing corridors of his own controversial history, where cinematic brilliance clashed with public outcry and where personal demons intertwined with professional triumphs. Every word he utters is a reminder of a life spent at the intersection of art and outrage, a journey marked by both creative genius and unforgettable missteps. There is a hint of irony in his tone as he alludes to the very public battles that have shaped his career, battles that have often been fought on the unforgiving battleground of live television. The tension escalates as Gibson's narrative shifts focus. He now steers the conversation toward the heart of today's revelation, a moment that promises to be as shocking as it is unprecedented. With a measured intensity, he begins to expose connections that have long remained in the shadows. The subject is none other than Barron Trump, a name that reverberates with the weight of a powerful legacy and the complexities of an American political dynasty. In a move that feels both personal and incendiary, Gibson hints at secrets that intertwine the worlds of celebrity, politics, and scandal in ways that are bound to unsettle the audience. There is a palpable sense of danger in the air, an unspoken warning that what is coming next will challenge established narratives and provoke a fierce reaction. Gibson's voice rises and falls in a rhythm that is both hypnotic and disjointed, mirroring the chaotic pace of modern discourse. His words are delivered with a deliberate urgency, each sentence a calculated provocation aimed at shaking the foundations of complacency. As the broadcast unfolds, viewers are swept into a maelstrom of conflicting emotions, a mix of anticipation, disbelief, and a hint of exhilaration at the prospect of witnessing history in the making. Throughout this opening segment, time itself becomes a silent character in the drama. References to fleeting moments like shortly after 9 a.m. and by mid-morning punctuate the narrative, reminding the audience that every tick of the clock brings the revelation closer to fruition. These markers serve not only as temporal anchors but also as symbols of the relentless march of destiny, where every second is pregnant with possibility. The live broadcast is no longer just a medium for delivering news. It is an arena where past grievances, present tensions, and future uncertainties converge. As the seconds dissolve into minutes, the atmosphere in the studio grows heavier, laden with the promise of secrets about to be unveiled. The set, usually a place of routine and predictability, transforms into a stage for an epic confrontation, a collision of personal vendettas and political ambitions. The tension is almost suffocating, a physical presence that presses in on every corner of the room. Gibson, aware of the gravity of the moment, takes a deep breath, his eyes reflecting the storm of thoughts that churn beneath the surface. There is a magnetic quality to his presence, an allure that draws viewers into his orbit despite the inherent risk of what might come next. In this crucible of anticipation, every detail matters. The hum of the cameras, the rustle of the crew's movements, and the distant murmur of the city outside all contribute to a symphony of suspense that is as intense as it is inescapable. Gibson's narrative is both a personal confession and a public declaration, a complex tapestry woven from threads of scandal, ambition, and a defiant will to challenge the status quo. His words hint at a truth that has long been buried beneath layers of political spin and media gloss, a truth that now demands to be heard. As the opening moments of the broadcast slip away, the stage is set for the climax of this unfolding drama. There is an unspoken promise that the revelations to come will not only redefine the relationships between celebrity and power, but will also force the nation to confront uncomfortable truths about its own values and priorities. The live television moment, which began with a simple announcement at 9 a.m., now stands on the brink of transformation. In this charged space where the mundane meets the monumental, the narrative takes on a life of its own, one that is poised to disrupt conventions and spark debates that will reverberate far beyond the confines of the studio. As the camera lingers on Gibson's resolute expression, the audience is left with a singular, burning question. What exactly is he about to reveal, and how will it reshape the very fabric of the ongoing dialogue between celebrity and politics? The answer, shrouded in mystery and poised on the edge of revelation, is tantalizingly close, yet frustratingly out of reach. At this moment, the promise of a seismic shift in public perception hangs in the air, as potent and unpredictable as the man who dares to voice it. Shortly after the explosive introduction, the broadcast takes an unexpected turn into the heart of revelation. The energy in the studio intensifies as Mel Gibson's voice, now raw and defiant, pierces through the carefully orchestrated calm. His eyes, reflecting a lifetime of battles fought in the glare of public scrutiny, narrow into a steely focus. In that critical moment, the camera captures every twitch of his expression as he begins to expose a secret that has been kept under tight wraps for far too long. The live feed shows Gibson leaning forward, his hands gesturing in measured, deliberate motions that seem to draw the truth out of the very air around him. There is an urgency in his tone that sends shivers down the spine of every viewer at home. What you're about to hear is something that will change the narrative, something that cuts through the facade of power and privilege, he declares, his voice echoing across the broadcast with a resonance that feels almost tangible. The studio, now transformed into a battleground of ideas and raw emotion, falls into a hushed silence, the anticipation palpable in every corner. In the midst of this charged atmosphere, Gibson's narrative takes a daring pivot. He begins to recount incidents and interactions that paint a picture of a deeply troubled legacy tied to the Trump family. His words, though laced with his signature hyperbole, carry an undercurrent of genuine outrage. He speaks of secret meetings, hushed conversations, and private rendezvous that allegedly reveal a side of Barron Trump unknown to the public. The accusations, though unverified, are delivered with a conviction that leaves no room for doubt. As he continues, the narrative interweaves threads of personal vendetta and political commentary, merging them into a tapestry that is as controversial as it is compelling. The camera shifts focus to capture the subtle changes in Gibson's expression, an interplay of anger, sorrow, and perhaps even a hint of satisfaction. It is as though the weight of the revelation has unlocked something deep within him, a part of his psyche that has long been dormant but now roars to life. The live feed displays intermittent flashes of audience reaction, gasps, murmurs of disbelief, and the sudden flash of smartphone screens capturing every word. Every eye in the room is riveted on him, the environment charged with an electric tension that seems to defy the boundaries of the screen. Behind the scenes, the production team scrambles to keep up with the unfolding drama. Monitors display scrolling tweets and live comments from viewers, many of whom express shock and outrage. Some call for immediate accountability, while others revel in the spectacle of celebrity defiance. One message after another flashes across the screen. Mel just dropped a bomb, and this is bigger than we thought. The collective reaction is a modern chorus of voices, each contributing to the cacophony of the moment. Undeterred by the immediate public reaction, Gibson presses on. His tone becomes even more animated, each word carefully chosen to peel back the layers of obfuscation that have long shielded the corridors of power. "I've seen things, spoken to people who have seen things," he states, his voice rising in fervor, "and what I'm about to reveal isn't just another scandal. It's the truth that's been buried under decades of lies and denial." His declaration hangs in the air, a rallying cry for those who have long suspected that the elite operate in shadows. As the minutes tick by, time itself takes on a symbolic significance. Gibson peppers his narrative with precise markers, noting that just moments after 4 a.m. the atmosphere shifted, and that by 10 a.m. there was no turning back. These time references serve as silent witnesses to the unfolding drama, anchoring the events in a sequence of moments that feel both inevitable and meticulously orchestrated. Each second seems charged with potential, a small interval in which the fate of a narrative is irrevocably altered. The focus of the exposé shifts as Gibson begins to delve into specifics. With a mix of raw emotion and calculated precision, he recounts alleged interactions that suggest a network of deceit and manipulation. His narrative is punctuated by deliberate pauses, moments of silence that gather strength before the next torrential outpouring of words. "I remember a conversation," he recalls, "where it was implied that Barron Trump was more than a passive observer, a participant in decisions that were meant to remain cloaked in secrecy." Each sentence lands like a verbal sledgehammer, designed to dismantle the carefully constructed image of innocence. The studio lights, once a source of calm illumination, now cast long, dramatic shadows that mirror the darkness lurking beneath the surface. Gibson's accusations are bold, insinuating that behind the youthful visage of Barron Trump lies an entanglement in clandestine operations and covert agendas. The narrative is as enthralling as it is incendiary, blurring the lines between established fact and provocative suggestion. Every word is delivered with a mix of poetic intensity and unfiltered grit, compelling viewers to confront a reality that has been meticulously hidden from public view. As the live feed continues, the ripple effects of Gibson's revelations spread rapidly. Breaking news alerts interrupt the broadcast intermittently, the network scrambling to verify the incendiary claims as they spread like wildfire across social media. One moment, the screen is awash with images of frantic reporters and hurried behind-the-scenes discussions. The next, Gibson's face reclaims the frame, an unwavering beacon amid the chaos. His calm, almost dispassionate delivery of the most explosive details stands in stark contrast to the pandemonium erupting around him, accentuating the collision between order and mayhem that defines this historic broadcast. The narrative begins to take on an almost surreal quality, as the lines between performance and raw truth blur. Gibson's voice, resonant and unyielding, seems to echo not only through the studio, but also into the very corridors of power, challenging those in high places to account for their actions. There is an undeniable magnetism to his words. Each sentence appears to transcend the limitations of the live broadcast, reaching deep into the collective consciousness of an audience eager for transparency. His presence demands attention, compelling even the most skeptical viewers to lean in and listen as if their understanding of reality hinges on every syllable. Throughout the exposé, the relentless march of time underscores the significance of every passing moment. The references to precise intervals, shortly after 4 a.m. and by 10 a.m. are more than mere markers. They are symbols of an unfolding destiny. These temporal anchors serve as reminders that the events being broadcast are not isolated incidents but rather part of a continuum that spans hours, perhaps even days. The idea of time as a silent accomplice to revelation lends the entire narrative an air of inevitability, as though the truth was destined to emerge at this very moment. Gibson's narrative grows increasingly impassioned as he shifts from recounting events to directly challenging the established order. He speaks of betrayal and hidden alliances, of power structures built on deceit and maintained by silence. This isn't a mere whisper of discontent, he insists. It's a full-throated declaration that we must confront the rot that has festered in the heart of our institutions. His words reverberate throughout the studio, punctuating the silence with the weight of accountability. The audience is left to grapple with the implications, a call to action that transcends the boundaries of the broadcast itself. As the expose reaches a crescendo, every detail, every pause, and every breath seems laden with consequence. The production team works feverishly behind the scenes, their urgent movements barely visible in the background of a scene that now feels larger than life. On the live feed, every tick of the clock amplifies the tension, transforming the broadcast into a veritable arena of raw emotion and unfiltered truth. The studio, once a stage for routine news delivery, has become the epicenter of a cultural and political maelstrom, a moment in which the line between spectacle and revelation is irreversibly blurred. In that climactic instant, as Gibson's eyes meet the camera with unwavering determination, the weight of his words settles over the room. The live expose has now evolved into a defining moment, one that challenges not only the status quo, but also the very perceptions of power and legacy. With each measured word, he dismantles a carefully constructed narrative, urging the viewers to see beyond the veneer of celebrity and politics. The broadcast, with its rapid shifts in tone and pace, captures the essence of a truth long suppressed, a truth that now demands to be heard. After the broadcast ended, the fallout exploded into a chaotic storm of reactions that spread faster than any conventional news cycle could hope to contain. The moment the camera cut away from Gibson's impassioned revelations, digital screens around the world lit up with a frenetic mix of shock, outrage, and desperate speculation. Social media erupted into a maelstrom of tweets, posts, and heated debates. In every corner of the internet, voices, both familiar and anonymous, raced to dissect every syllable of Gibson's words, turning the event into a phenomenon that defied simple explanation. In living rooms and on smartphones, viewers relived the intensity of that fateful broadcast. Breaking news alerts streamed in relentlessly, urging everyone to witness, share, and comment on what had just unfolded. By 6 p.m., the shockwaves were palpable. Major news outlets scrambled to verify details while pundits and journalists attempted to unravel the implications of Gibson's explosive claims. The air was heavy with urgency, as the public clung to every new update like a lifeline in the midst of a media hurricane. Inside the network's control room, staff members worked feverishly to manage the cascade of incoming information. Phones rang off the hook and computer screens flashed with scrolling social media feeds. Every message, every retweet, and every viral post added another fragment to the unfolding mosaic of opinions. Some viewers were quick to laud Gibson as a crusader for truth, while others dismissed his revelations as nothing more than another act of theatrical provocation, a calculated attempt to revive a battered reputation through controversy. The digital conversation was punctuated by an almost hypnotic repetition of time markers that Gibson had so deliberately chosen during his broadcast. Phrases like, "just moments after 4 a.m." and "by 10 a.m." were repeated ad nauseum, each mention reinforcing the idea that every second had been meticulously orchestrated for maximum impact. To many online commentators, these references were not mere details, but powerful symbols of an event that had been set in motion with the precision of a well-rehearsed coup against the established order. Within hours, news websites and blogs had become battlegrounds for impassioned debate. Some writers insisted that Gibson's revelations were a long overdue intervention in the murky world of political power, arguing that the exposure of hidden ties between the Trump family and clandestine operations was a necessary, if uncomfortable, truth. Others, however, urged caution, warning that the line between genuine exposé and stage spectacle was perilously thin, in a landscape where sensationalism often masqueraded as fact. The same phrases that split public opinion also underscored a broader cultural dilemma. In an era dominated by social media, every dramatic confession is simultaneously an invitation to both truth and hyperbole. Across television studios, cable news anchors revisited the story with a mix of skepticism and urgency. In lively panel discussions that lasted well into the early hours of the evening, analysts debated the potential consequences of Gibson's statements. One commentator argued that this could be a turning point, a moment when the public would finally demand accountability from those who wield unchecked power. Another countered that the incident was more about personal vendetta than systemic change, cautioning against drawing sweeping conclusions from a single incendiary broadcast. The divergent perspectives only fueled the debate further, as viewers oscillated between hope for a transformative revelation and a resigned cynicism born from years of political disillusionment. The impact of Gibson's outburst was not confined to the realm of public opinion. Behind the scenes, high-stakes meetings were convened in boardrooms and governmental offices. By 8 p.m., whispers of emergency press conferences and urgent internal memos began to surface. Government officials and media executives alike found themselves grappling with the unforeseen repercussions of a broadcast that had broken through the traditional barriers between celebrity and political discourse. In some circles, the call for an immediate, measured response was strong, as leaders sought to restore a semblance of order in a situation that threatened to spiral into complete media anarchy. Even as the initial shock began to ebb, a new phase of the fallout emerged, one characterized by meticulous analysis and relentless fact-checking. By 10 a.m. the following morning, investigative teams were hard at work, poring over every detail of Gibson's statements. This post-broadcast scrutiny took on a life of its own, with articles, podcasts, and televised debates dissecting the narrative line by line. Experts in media studies and political science offered insights that ranged from earnest calls for reform to cynical interpretations of a celebrity seeking to manipulate public sentiment. The debates were as intense as they were varied, revealing deep-seated divisions in how the public interpreted the interplay of power, performance, and the relentless march of time. The digital echo chamber did not relent. In online forums and comment sections, individuals shared personal reactions, some in awe of what they perceived as a bold act of defiance, others in disbelief at the spectacle of it all. In homes, cafes, and even workplaces, conversations took on a feverish tone, with debates unfolding over dinner tables and in water-cooler chats. The event had become a cultural touchstone, a reference point for discussions about the nature of truth in a media-saturated world. Every shared link, every hastily typed comment, contributed to an ever-growing narrative that was both fragmented and unified in its urgency. Amid the torrent of reactions, a few voices attempted to restore a semblance of balance to the discussion. Veteran journalists, known for their measured tone and deep understanding of media mechanics, urged the public to remain patient and to wait for the full scope of the investigation before passing final judgment. They reminded everyone that in the high-octane world of live television, provocative language is often a tool to command attention rather than a definitive statement of fact. Their calls for restraint were, however, drowned out by the cacophony of impulsive opinions and the relentless pace of digital discourse. In parallel, the financial markets began to respond in unexpected ways. Within hours of the broadcast, stocks associated with media conglomerates and political action committees experienced volatile swings. Investors, ever sensitive to the undercurrents of public sentiment, reacted swiftly to the uncertainty that the scandal introduced. Financial analysts noted that even if Gibson's claims were later proven to be exaggerated or partially unfounded, the immediate effect on market confidence was undeniable. The incident underscored how deeply intertwined celebrity, politics, and economics had become in this new era of information. As midnight approached, the frenetic energy of the day began to coalesce into a more sustained narrative. Editorial columns in major newspapers called for a thoughtful reassessment of the event, urging readers to sift through the noise and seek the underlying truths buried beneath layers of sensationalism. Academic discussions and think tank briefings echoed this sentiment, questioning how the rapid-fire dissemination of provocative content was reshaping public discourse. These slower, more deliberate conversations offered a counterpoint to the initial frenzy, suggesting that even in the midst of chaos, there was room for reasoned reflection. After the fallout had simmered, attention turned to the deeper implications of Gibson's broadcast. The revelations that had rocked the digital realm now demanded a more measured and penetrating analysis of the forces that had driven this spectacle. Gibson's narrative, with its blend of personal vendetta and political provocation, had not only exposed secretive whispers within the corridors of power, it also forced viewers to confront the unsettling fusion of celebrity culture with the mechanisms of statecraft. In this charged atmosphere, every word seemed to carry weight, and every time marker referenced, like at 12:30 p.m. or by early evening, became symbols of an unfolding destiny that no one could ignore. The discussion turned inward, questioning the very nature of truth in a landscape where the media thrives on sensationalism. Critics argued that Gibson's bombshell was not merely a spontaneous outburst, but a carefully constructed performance intended to blur the line between fact and hyperbole. In dissecting his speech, commentators began to explore the recurring themes of betrayal, deception, and the erosion of public trust. His pointed accusations against powerful figures had the dual effect of reviving interest in his own troubled past and highlighting systemic issues that had long festered beneath the veneer of normalcy. There was a growing consensus that the broadcast had been a catalyst, setting in motion a chain reaction of scrutiny that would reverberate far beyond the confines of Hollywood. Meanwhile, the implications extended into the realm of political discourse. Gibson's exposé served as a stark reminder that the nexus of celebrity and politics is fraught with risks and responsibilities. His deliberate invocation of time markers was seen by some as an attempt to lend credence to a narrative that had been carefully curated over years of public controversy. Others viewed it as a symbolic gesture, a way of marking the moment when the old guard of power was finally being challenged by voices that refused to be silenced. This interpretation sparked heated debates among political analysts who argued that such acts of defiance could either herald a new era of accountability or plunge the public into further disillusionment. Within the broader cultural context, the implications of Gibson's actions were equally profound. The incident forced a reckoning with the manner in which celebrity status can be weaponized to sway public opinion. It raised uncomfortable questions about the reliability of information in an age dominated by rapid-fire social media exchanges and 24-hour news cycles. The duality of Gibson's persona as both a celebrated filmmaker and a notorious provocateur became emblematic of a broader trend where the lines between art, politics, and personal vendetta are increasingly blurred. This merging of realms left many wondering if truth had become a casualty in the pursuit of spectacle. In the quiet aftermath, voices from within academia and the media began to offer more reflective insights. Scholars questioned whether the unfolding drama was an isolated event or a symptom of a larger cultural malaise. There was talk of a fundamental shift, where the traditional boundaries of journalism and political commentary were being rewritten in real time. The reverberations of Gibson's broadcast had ignited a firestorm of debate, compelling society to reconsider how narratives are constructed and deconstructed in a hyper-connected world. As the sun set and the digital fervor began to subside, a lingering question remained. What long-term impact would this confrontation have on public discourse? The broadcast had not only shattered preconceptions about the sanctity of political power, it had also exposed the vulnerabilities inherent in our media ecosystem. In the end, the implications of Gibson's performance were as complex as they were far-reaching, setting the stage for an ongoing dialogue about the interplay of truth, spectacle, and accountability in modern society. As the dust settles on the frenzy of the broadcast, the nation finds itself at a crossroads between outrage and introspection. The once explosive headlines have given way to a cautious calm, yet the reverberations of Gibson's revelations continue to pulse through every corner of the media landscape. In boardrooms and legislative halls alike, voices murmur about the need for accountability and reform. The echoes of that fateful broadcast, punctuated by precise markers like by midnight and in the early hours of the next day, serve as constant reminders that this is no fleeting scandal, but a turning point in public discourse. In the days to come, every fragment of Gibson's incendiary narrative will be scrutinized, debated, and dissected by experts and amateurs alike. Analysts predict that the incident will fuel a sustained conversation about the power dynamics at the intersection of celebrity and politics. For some, Gibson's defiant act is a clarion call for transparency, a bold challenge to entrenched power structures. For others, it is merely another instance of manufactured controversy in an era where truth and spectacle have become indistinguishable. Media outlets are already preparing extensive investigations, while social media channels buzz with predictions about the long-term impact on both Hollywood and the political arena. Financial markets, too, have reacted. Investors remain on edge, aware that even a single provocative moment can trigger unforeseen economic ripple effects. The incident has underscored a broader cultural dilemma, one where public trust is as fragile as the delicate balance between fact and performance. In this charged atmosphere, there is a growing sentiment that the events of that day will not be relegated to the annals of forgotten controversies. Instead, they are likely to catalyze a wave of introspection among the public and policymakers alike. As the nation slowly emerges from the immediate shock, the call for a more responsible media and political environment grows louder. Whether Gibson's revelations will ultimately foster meaningful change or simply add another chapter to the saga of celebrity scandals remains uncertain. What is clear, however, is that the battle for truth in this new age of instantaneous information has only just begun. With that, we have reached the end of today's video. If you have come that far with us, be sure to check out other videos on the channel.